So much, Senator Johnson. Senator Alma Francis Heyliger, our birthday girl, you are recognized for your 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Well, good morning to my colleagues and to the people of this territory. First, I would like to say thank you for all the birthday wishes that I have gotten. I've been inundated with the phone calls and the text messages, hundreds on Facebook, and I appreciate every single one. Even to my colleagues that called and sang happy birthday for me. You guys you're on point today. But this time, we want to take this moment out to really show appreciation for former Senator Holland Redfield. I also want to thank my colleague, Senator Carrie On, for really taking the time out to see the importance of recognizing such a stalwart in our community. When you have people that have chosen to alter their lives and relocate and come to the Virgin Islands and have embedded themselves to the point that if you didn't know, you would have never known, because they are a Virgin Islander, true and true. And that is a true example of who former Senator Redfield was. One of the things that me and him had in common is we were Facebook buddies quite often. We would talk about a lot of the social issues, even via phone conversation, because in my journey throughout the years of attempting to get to the legislature, sometimes he would pop in and share words and say, never give up if you really believe you can be that person to really fight on behalf of the territory. We would often spend times discussing photographs he would post on social media. Anytime you wanted to see something that you might not have known about or something funny, there was Senator Redfield just posting away. In addition to that, the one thing we had in common the most had to do with both of us being talk show hosts. I spent quite many years sharing and discussing with the community a lot of issues that, and even solutions and ideas that are part of who we are and the things we would like to see change. But in our conversations, former Senator Redfield was always there in a positive way to say, keep ahead with what you're doing. The community hears you, they understand you. And that encouragement was something that could never be matched. And I appreciated him for that more than many people would ever understand. So I am 100% in support of this piece of legislation to really take this time out to honor him, because it is well deserved. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senator Francis Heyliger. Senator Alma Francis Heyliger, you are recognized for your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again to my colleagues, people of the territory, and the testifiers. I want to dive in a little bit more along the lines of continuing education. One of the things that I didn't notice in the bill has to do with the continuing education of the different fields, whether cosmetology, barbering, being an esthetician, etc. In doing a lot of research in preparation for this bill, I noted that quite a bit, if not all the states, have some form of continuing education. What are your thoughts on that? For example, I think in Georgia, at least a minimum of 8 hours on an annual basis, they have to do some sort of continuing education. Another state is like 5 hours. And the reason for this is that, take, for example, somebody gets a license 25 years ago. What do we intend? I mean, I don't have a problem amending it, but what are your thoughts about continuing education in regards to this field?
Good afternoon, Senator. I think it's a great idea. I agree. However, I will defer and let the board speak to continuing education.
Thank you. Okay.
Senator, your time hasn't been called. You're waiting for another response from a testifier?
I think I heard her said somebody else would. I didn't hear what her response was.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I said, go ahead. I did say I was going to defer to the board to respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I was waiting on.
Personally, this is Nora Williams, Vice Chair. I think 8 hours a year is too much. Yeah, you did talk about people who trained 25 years ago, which I happen to fall into that category. And I maintain my professionalism. I don't see where it's necessary for certain things. I understand that things are changing, but when you change and you grow with your clientele, to me, that's all that I need. I'm just speaking for the ones in
Well, yeah, I understand what you're speaking for yourself on a personal level, but this legislation would have to cover everyone in the territory.
I understand.
So my concern when it comes to continue, there's a lot of new technology as it relates to even dealing with natural hair, as it relates to dealing, some of the things I didn't even see in the bill, like for example, threading. That's something that's common now. And I was wondering if that's even under being an esthetician. So would that fall underneath that section of the bill? There's a lot of different things that come out on an annual basis or even improved. So how do we make sure that the information gets to them and we are guaranteed that something is done, that they get the information? That's the part I'm worried about, or would like to.
I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is what happens to the person who has been in the business for 20, like you say, I don't really want to do the threading and all the different natural fancy stuff. To me, the younger ones that are coming out now who are doing those things, and they would be licensed according to what they're doing. I was just saying that I think 8 hours a year is a lot. That's just my take on it.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is it something that would be amenable, say, for example,
Senator Francis, you're frozen. Senator Francis Heyliger, you're frozen.
Time.
Oh, hold Senator Francis Heyliger time. We're going to take a brief 1-minute recess so we can iron out some of the technical issues that we're having. Senator Francis Heyliger, thank you kindly for your patience. You are recognized for 1 minute.
Not a problem. Thank you once again as I finish up my 3 minutes. I was speaking earlier as it relates to adding in some additional continuing education, and I'll deal with that amendment later. And I thank you guys for your feedback on that. I also wanted to ask a question on page 10, as it speaks to a section that talks to, it says not to assess a civil penalty, not more than $1,000 for first, second, third violations. Do you guys think that that potentially needs to be more on a graduated scale as opposed to leaving it open-ended, where it depends on whatever the case is? It could be fined anything not more than $1,000, or say the first offense not more than $300, second offense not more than $500, third offense not more than $1,000, or whatever the case is. What are your thoughts on that section?
This is Anne Cecile O'Neill, and I'm assisting the board on legal questions, and this is definitely within the realm of a legal question.
Time.
There's two things. Can you hear me well, everybody?
Yes, you may proceed. You may proceed. Continue.
Okay, thank you. So the provision that's been added goes on to say that there are certain factors that you look at. Administratively, if you state that the first offense can't be more than 500, if the specific offense is extremely egregious, then unfortunately that would not be the type, you don't want to limit yourself to assessing a small amount. It's normal in administrative enforcement to look at the different factors. You look at culpability, whether it's an intentional act. You look at the risk of harm and the injury those types of things are super important. So you can't put, this language was taken and looked at from many different jurisdictions, and most allow more leeway and not just, what one would think, a smaller amount and then higher, you see. So the matrix allows you to assess higher if it's the third offense. Do you see?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the additional time. And may I ask my final question, Madam Chair?
You may proceed because we were having all of those technical issues with you. You may proceed, Senator Francis Heyliger.
Specifically into your response, Attorney, what exactly would happen after the third offense? Because I'm trying to, I see it speaks to the first, second, and third violation. What would happen after that? What if they get to the fourth offense?
It's a great question. Depending on the circumstances, again, right? What type of offense is it? Whether it's willful, that type of thing. But this is only one type of enforcement tool. The board also has revocation, suspension of a license. It also has the ability to refer to the Department of Justice for criminal misdemeanor prosecution. So that's why you look at, depending on the circumstances, the specifics, it's a very fact-specific analysis that needs to be done. And if it's egregious enough, if it's someone who's unlicensed, performing services that are extremely dangerous and actually injures someone, then you may have to do a direct referral to the Department of Justice for assistance on something like this. And then maybe simultaneously do a revocation procedure. It's not, in this case, if they're not licensed, it's not revocation, but a close down, right? So sort of a TRO type, and that the Department of Justice would have to assist with to close that establishment down using our biggest tools, right? In those circumstances.
Okay, thank you so much for the additional information. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you so much.
Senator Francis Heyliger, you're recognized for your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again, colleagues, testifiers, people in the territory. I want to know, has anyone done any kind of potential economic impact as to what would happen if all these individuals now become eligible, and what kind of cost would it be in addition? Let's say if all of them who can participate does. Do we know any numbers as to what kind of cost this would cost us?
At this time, no analysis has not been done, at least not by the Division of Personnel.
So we potentially might be amending a law that could potentially add on millions of dollars, and we really don't know what that is. I think that's very important when it comes to altering laws like this that already put out quite a bit of money. I am in support of people having incentives, but I also have to be a responsible legislator in having all the facts before I make a decision. And it's very, very important to know those numbers. So I would implore that if someone could provide this to me, I would appreciate it in some shape or form. In addition, what I do agree with what was shared here today in regards to the types of credits and degrees because that are taken in order to get these incentives. And how do we create a happy balance based on what agency you're in to decide whether or not this is good? Because some of the things that I was hearing listed earlier might not be appropriate, or some degrees might be more feasible for some agencies, et cetera. So how do we fix that aspect of it? Anybody has any thoughts on that one?
So thank you for that remark, Senator. I will say that that's why I worded the testimony the way I did, is that we consider, taking a look at the entire program and revamping it, putting all of these considerations into a strong policy that could support the incentive.
Okay. I I guess I'm a dollars and cents driven kind of person, and I'm kind of stuck on that part, to be honest with you. I think that incentives are, like I said, they're great, but we have to know what the dollars and cents are. So I have another question I wanted. Is there any type of strategic plan to implement additional infrastructure needed to expand the plan in light of concerns about verification, auditing, and sectional criteria? Do we have any plans to work on it from any of those aspects?
Time.
Oh, time's up. My time is up, Mr.
You may
Chair.
respond.
I will say this. I appreciate my colleague for bringing forward this piece of legislation, but I think we need some additional information, at least from my perspective, so we can make a much better informed decision as to how we expand this program to potentially hundreds of additional individuals, and knowing what the financial impact is going to be, because that is also potentially going to impact the budget and a variety of other things, agencies, budgets as well, outside of the general fund. And I would need that information to make a decision accordingly. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Francis Heyliger. Director nominee, do you have any response to the senator's comment?
Not at this time. I mean, the Division of Personnel is willing to work to create the policy and to the guidelines necessary. But at this time, an analysis has not been done by the Division of Personnel in order to answer that question as far as the financial impact. But we are willing to be at the table to further expand it.
Senator Alma Francis Heyliger, you are recognized for your 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to my colleagues again, to the testifiers, to the people of this territory. I want to ask quickly, Mr. Cole, I'm trying to just be as direct as I can, because we have these meetings, we discuss WAPA over and over. As a legislator, we pass laws to give you guys more power. We pass laws to change the board. As you know, the governor is suing for that because he doesn't want that. What, for the foreseeable future, do you really, or can you share with me your thoughts of us digging ourselves out of this situation? Because I need to know what has to be done to fix this, because I don't want to keep talking and talking and talking. And I'm stressing because I'm hearing on the market oil is going up. We're still using that partially. We went from one fossil fuel to now propane, and of course that's going to fluctuate. That was an issue from years ago. What do we have to do to fix this?
Senator, Senator Javon James had asked the commission to present the committee with a report. He had asked a question, and in that report, and I don't know, Senator, if you have seen it, I would suggest if you get a copy of it, you can read what we see as long-term and short-term ways of fixing it. We don't have enough time for me to go into it, and I know you're restricted on time, but yes, the information provided in there would give you a synopsis of what we can do. We speak to smaller, more efficient generators. We speak to putting renewable energy on the grid. That is what has to happen. And these things can happen quickly, but that has to happen. Without that, we're not going to see any improvement at WAPA.
And that's something that I've been paying attention to. And I know WAPA and the governor has been speaking about these Wasilas coming in, smaller ones that are more energy efficient, but that's an additional time we have to wait on those. Mm-hmm. But based on the ones that we have, can we figure out a better rotation to potentially utilize some of the more energy efficient ones earlier, or something? I am not, a WAPA guru, but I mean, some of this stuff is common sense for me. And I'm trying to understand, why can't we get it right? It's like we keep making mistakes, and all I'm keep hearing is potential increase after increase. And then I'm concerned about this whole VTOL deal because now you guys authorize X amount of dollars up to this 87 million. What's going to happen when the sunset on that closes and then WAPA still owes all this money? There's a lot of things that are happening here that's going to affect this community. And I'm trying to figure out how are we digging ourselves out of this madness?
Well, Senator, those are excellent questions. And like you said, the commission only authorized them to collect 85 million. When that time comes, we're going to see what they're going to do, because unless we get what we asked for here at the commission, we are not going to provide another penny to WAPA to pay for that over increase. The things I can tell you, Senator, the Watsilas at the Randolph Harley plant is only 21 megawatts. At this point in time, WAPA peaks at about 45, maybe sometimes 50 megawatts. So only 25 megawatts. So they also have Unit 23, 18, 14. 23 is an oil-fired generator. That's the one that they got us in court about when we told them, don't buy half of your generation in one generator. This is about almost 10 years ago. And they went and they purchased Unit 23, 40 megawatts when they were peaking at 80 megawatts. That is the most efficient oil generator they have. So WAPA has continued to hold on to it. It's 40 megawatts. The plant cannot produce.
Time.
Anytime you see an outage go down, Senator, you basically know that Unit 23 is out or Unit 15 is out, because the Watsilas cannot carry the load.
Madam Chair, may I ask my final question?
Yes, you may proceed, Senator.
Thank you very much. While you're here, I just want to ask you, as it relates to this broadband situation, I am aware of the award to broadband for the over $80+ million over 10 years. And if we are already having issues with them as a phone company since they purchased AT&T, now they're potentially expanding into the internet. How do you guys intend to handle that? Because I'm very frustrated as a consumer, as well as you might hear from a lot of other consumers for this transition sale that they had for the phone part of it. How do we now add a whole nother utility to it, and we can't even get some satisfaction to the first part?
Well, Senator, I'll tell you, we had a meeting with Liberty, and Liberty is promising that they are not AT&T, that they're going to do better, that they're going to be better. Remember that the section of 0021 only grants us authority for customer service. The FCC control the rest of it. We can't control entry into the market. We can't control pricing. We can't control none of that. The FCC control that. So customer service to a certain point only to wireless communication. So when you're dealing with broadband and all of that, we don't have any authority to deal with that. That is controlled by the FCC, the federal government. So we are at the mercy of the federal government in dealing with how we deal with these carriers that we have here in the territory. Okay? But like I said, they came before us. We had a meeting, myself and my staff, with the Liberty, and they sounded so good. So we look forward to them coming before, and putting into fruition what they say. They say they are not AT&T. They are Liberty, and they're going to liberate us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator Francis Heyliger. Senator Alma Francis Heyliger, you are recognized for your 5 minutes.
Good afternoon to my senatorial colleagues. Good afternoon to the testifier. Good afternoon to the people of the territory once again. I want to dive in a little bit in regards to the online process. How long does it usually take for someone to go online and complete a process and get their documentation? Give me an average time frame.
If all thing goes well, it's 5 minutes, about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes? Okay, good.
Yes.
I also noted that you had some discussion in regards to having an IT infrastructure program. What is the status of that? Because I noted you guys said you had paid for it. Have they started? Is there a completion date for that project? For sure, we got.
Right, for the cybersecurity, the vendor was already chosen, so we are waiting for the contracted it to be completed for us to start, because everything else is in place.
Okay. One of the biggest things that we're hearing, I know the governor just recently, as my colleague just spoke, he just recently spoke about cutting the inspections and a potential loss of revenue. Have you guys calculated during that time frame potentially how much money the DMV will not be able to collect during that time period?
Actually, I do, Senator, but unfortunately, I don't have that spreadsheet here on this computer where I am.
Okay. Also, you guys spoke about dealing with the regulation of the safaris. Where are you guys with that?
That has been completed. The work with with the taxi board has been completed, so everything is fine.
So you're saying they could be registered now, or?
Yeah, but they were always able to register. The issue was the issue that the safari faced. Well, when I came into office, they were not registering no safaris at all, because there was no regulation to actually, ensure that they're safe. I don't even know what the issue was.
Okay.
But what we did, we worked with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration with the regulations, to make sure that those that are on the roadway are safe and those that are coming online meet certain criteria. So what we did, those that are already on the road that has to meet the certification criteria, we gave them 24 months to come into compliance.
Okay, good to hear that. As it relates to real IDs, I know we're still working on that somewhat, but have you found out of any deadline? What's the final cutoff time before everyone has to be under compliance of real IDs?
It'll be May 2023, but however, that is only if you want to use your real ID as a travel document. But even now, before the compliance deadline, we are still experiencing some challenges, as you've heard the other colleagues said. And I'm trying my best to work through those challenges. Homeland Security have assured us that it would be addressed, but they have their challenges as well. So we are not really a priority for them. So that's where we are at.
Well, I understand that. As it relates to dealing with your payment process, going through the online system, was that system set up contractually? What was the cost of that system? Do you find that it's helping you to generate monies easier? Is it assisting you in getting your work done easier? Tell me a little bit more about that, because I want to learn if it's beneficial to your agency.
It is beneficial because, of course, we are collecting the money real time. It's through a processor, of course. So we are collecting our monies real time. I think it's like a 1 point something, almost 2% fee to us. So, but overall, well, we have
so you're paying for the. So when somebody utilizes the system, the government is paying for the fee, or the consumer is paying for the fee?
No, the government pays for the fee. Even at the bureau, whenever we use the credit card there, any credit card, you have to pay for the fee because it has to go through a clearinghouse, and that's what you have to pay for the clearinghouse.
Okay, well, thank you for that. In regards to the time frame, I know some of my other colleagues touched on this before, but the time frame, which has been a continuous complaint even in my office when they call into my senatorial office, I keep hearing complaints of the time frame of how long it takes for certain things to get done, whether it's licenses or even get their registration done still to this day. Are you as a bureau still feeling those type of calls, or is it just me that the consumers and the residents are still having a major issue with this agency?
So time frame we look at time frame in two different things, right? First is it time frame to get an appointment or time frame to get your documents back? Because time frame to get an appointment is very, very short.
In a grand scheme of things, like today is the 12th, the next appointment date is Monday. It is what? Tuesday? Friday. The next appointment date is Friday or Monday, depends on which island. As far as getting your documents back, now I can safely say that on St. Croix, within 2 days, no later than 3, maybe they based on when you drop it off. And on St. Thomas, it may be 3 to 4 depends. Right, so we don't have, like before, we did have some challenges with like a whole week, sometimes 2 weeks, because we didn't have a lot of staff, but we have shored up our staffing somewhat. So that has helped us a lot to speed up the process. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. I am completed with my questioning for this testifier.
Thank you so much, Senator Alma Francis Heyliger.